This is your daily market review for Wednesday, August 21st, 2024. Let's go.
Hey everyone, this is my channel to help investors and traders develop a probability-based mindset to succeed. Also try and keep friends informed of what's going on in the markets and the economy, and also a little real estate content as well.
This is Dan Max at eXp Realty, aka the Trading Agent. This is your daily market review for Wednesday, August 21st, 2024. Choppy day. Turnaround Tuesday didn't really lead to any follow through on Wednesday today. Got to be honest, got to be open, got to acknowledge for what it is. A lot of choppiness, some things up, some things down, some things just chopping around. So at this point, I don't know. It's really hard to know for sure what tomorrow would bring. We know we got the Fed speaking, right? We know they're going to be talking in Jackson Hole. You got a few more earnings. You got a little bit of data. It's just a weird spot. Again, the Feds are in a pickle. Unemployment got announced that there was 818,000 jobs overstated. I think this is the second biggest adjustment in history. I don't remember when the first was, but if I had to guess, this is it's kind of mind-boggling. Let's just call it what it is. We talked about how the economy is slower than presented. Talked about, if you're in the Discord room, about what's going on in the real estate market. We know what's going on in the commercial real estate market. We know a lot of things going on. And then after hours, you see Schwab getting dumped by TD Ameritrade. Schwab is actually changing their, again, a lot of changes. I think their Street Smart Edge is ending as of today. A lot going on. So again, if you're new to the channel, check out the Discord room. There's a lot to talk about. Let's go over the levels. Let's go over what to expect. And again, probability-based game. If you're looking for certainty, don't trade. If you're looking to play probabilities, stick around. We'll see how it can help you. All right. So what do we know? The rest of the week's going to be kind of probably slow, waiting for reactions, headlines from Jackson Hole, pump, dump, jump, dump, pump. Who knows? Keep following on Twitter, posting trades, ideas, thoughts. If you, again, want to chat, hit me up on the Calendly. Love to connect with you guys. Check out the website. Education series is here as well. Tons of resources. Like, subscribe, hit the notification bell. Again, I appreciate it. If you have any inkling of happiness, frustration, any emotion, leave a comment below. Hit the heart button. Tell me how you feel. If you're not happy with something, you want something added, let me know. Again, this is all about feedback, being aware of that. Again, there's no right or wrong answer all the time. It's just do what the market is doing and try to do it the best you damn can. So we know going the rest of the week, kind of slow. All right, well, we know the Fed watch. Again, a lot of people are confused about what's going on with interest rates. It's very clear, y'all, right? Very, very, very clear. There's a rate cut coming, but they're going to only start cutting rates. Why? Because things are slowing. If we get a 50 basis point cut, I'm telling you, it's not good. Bitcoin. Oh, I got it on the monthly. Apologize. I was kind of looking at it yesterday. We know it's been in a choppy, sloppy range here. Be careful. That is all I can say with Bitcoin. Do I trust it long term? I think so. Do I trust it near term? No. It looks like a downtrend, but it doesn't mean it can't go in a big choppy pattern. So if you're long, short, long, be careful. Oil, as we talked about, had a really nice pop. Hurricane stuff, geopolitical, comes back, geopolitical, right back down. Again, I've said it's really hard trade. Be careful. It's going to be choppy and sloppy. I don't think there's a huge amount of downside in oil. But remember, demand destruction is a real thing if the economy starts slowing. So at this point, do you want to jump in and chase oil and gamble on it, or you just want to let it pull back? It's kind of the same thing with the market overall, in my opinion, depending on what asset classes. Do you really want to chase these levels, or just anticipate the pullbacks and play it? Natural gas, again, we like natural gas long term. Getting some point at the dollar plus range is going to be a gift. Dollars, we've talked about, broke the range highs, continues to get weaker and weaker. Something to keep an eye on. TLT, again, which has been the easiest, my favorite trade, trading around the positions. We talked about this, right? Here you go. Up, down, pulls back, chopping around, buying dips, back up into the range highs. Again, you need to get over the 100 area essentially to get up into the 108 to 110 range. That's the next upside level. VIX, talk about it, kind of bouncing here. Not surprised. I mean, we got the biggest, 65 to 14. That is nuts. Never seen anything like it. It's once in a lifetime event. Never seen anything. And now we're starting to bounce a little bit. Makes sense, but is it going to be a straight line move? I don't know. It's tough to say, right? Probably not. VIX, as we talked about, typically leads. Has it bottomed first? Looking like it, right? Looking like it. Oh, that's all you can really. And we always talk about the VIX kind of leads up, down, bottoms first. seems to be bottoming. That again, it doesn't mean it has to be today that the market does anything majorly pullback, but it keeps you on red alert if you're a bull. SPY, another kind of interesting candle today. I mean, you thought that was a doji, wide and like not very wide and loose, but today that looks like a topping tail. If you're not familiar with a topping tail, Google it. Almost filled the gap. I mean, do we need to fill the gap? I mean, this is a huge move. Again, if you were long, you need to raise your stops. You need to take some profits. I mean, again, remember, profits aren't real until realized. QQQ, which has been leading for years, lagging, fills the gap. Watch this area around 480. IWM, watching the 20-day, kind of seems to be stuck here. The multi-day range. Could you fill the gap at 216? I mean, you're close enough. I wouldn't be surprised if it could, but also could just flop there too. We've seen that happen. Gold breaks out, chopping around. Again, if you're new to the channel, love gold long term, just not chasing it. Silver, same thing. We talked about buying SLV in the teens. Now it's up here, chopping around. Again, long term, really like silver, but I don't really trust it because, again, if you study the past, especially the miners, when the markets get smoked down, miners aren't safe. GDX holding up pretty well. GDXJ chopping around, right? You want to see the junior miners lead. That's one formula because, again, think about what junior miners are. They're the greatest risk on, I don't know, what do you say, risk on? It's the highest level of risk in the gold sector. So if gold is going higher, you really want to see the juniors, the most speculative names leading. Does that make sense? Hopefully it does. AEM, as we talked about, has been a beast. Talked about this being the greatest, I don't know, not the greatest, but the best looking miner stock that I'm following. AG, not so much. Again, silver stuck here at the 250-day cross. Newmont, this should be in the 80s, y'all. We know that. But here it is up against the next resistance. Watch what happens here in the 50s and pass before we move on to tech. It looks better than AG, but it also is one of those things where I'm just passing on it. Pass on pass. Taiwan Semi. Again, a lot of these names are just very interesting. Gets up into this multi-day range, tests the gap, giving it back, holding the 50-day. Chopping around. Micron gets into resistance, chopping around. 4 days of just nothingness. AMD, talked about again. We talked about all these names being oversold, bouncing. AMD, look at that doji yesterday. I got to put a little freaking arrow on this because that feels like the top. Now you're chopping inside day, 100, 200 day. Keep an eye on it because, again, nothing goes straight down or straight up. NVIDIA, earnings next week. Keep an eye on it. Like the NVDA up here, makes sense. Trend line, multi-day range, gap fill. Could it get back to the highs? I mean, that's always possible. It looks very much like Tesla to me, kind of a repeating pattern. I'm bouncing around, but it really looks like Tesla from 2000s and 2000, right? Where you had like these really, I mean, I don't know. You had like this, it was everyone's favorite stock. When it peaked, it started chopping around and it formed a ceiling. And then it trended down for a long time. Be careful, I'm telling you. Be careful with NVIDIA. I promise you it's not, the risk reward is not in your favor. SMCI, again, this one's been interesting because, again, this has been a really good trading stock. Got down here to a 0.618, bounced at the 20-day. 200 seems to be the upside. I'd like to see it more at the downside if I was going to buy it. Intellectual property, talked about the capitulation gap down, right? Ding. All right, here you go. Now it's chopping around. I mean, I hope if you got excited about the 3 points, which, again, three on top of 18 is a solid return, percentage-wise. Talk about it. It's due to bounce. I mean, this is the thing. Even when it gapped down here, it got crushed after a big move down. It chopped around. Just be aware. It probably needs to chop around. You significantly need to get over the 22 level to really confirm some bullishness. SMH, we talked about this chopping around 50-day. I mean, this was one of these days where it's just kind of like it's like a quiet day before the Fed Jackson Hole meeting. Adobe, chopping up against the high, watching the 570s. Apple, up, down, all over today. Another doji, again, after a big up move, digesting, or is it about to break down? That's the question you have to ask yourself. Amazonian hit the 182 area. Got up here. I mean, another wick today. A lot of indecision. That is the theme of the day. And even the last couple of days, some indecision. Meta gets back up to the highs. AIAIO, we'll see what happens here. I mean, you got spots. CRM, we talked about this moving average, divergent convergence range to short. You shorted 265, looking good, but is it actually going to bust down? That's the hard thing, right? Guggenheim seems to be lagging compared to some of the other tech names. Filled the gap, just kind of watching it. Microsoft said, watch this 415 to 425 area. 100-day now is resistance, the old box of resistance. This is box of support, box of resistance. Just keep an eye on it. NDAQ, again, I like the short up here on the radar, on the list, chopping around. Again, could it go a little higher? Yeah, but I've talked about the exchange. Here we go. Well, now what? This doesn't necessarily mean this blow off top is invalidated. It just seems like it's a trap. I mean, we've seen traps that take days and weeks to play out. Be careful. MicroStrategy said watch this and chopping around, big choppy range. I mean, it makes sense that the gap could fill at 145. You got the 100-day. This is a hard one because you're in between ranges. Risk reward, I don't know. I mean, if Bitcoin goes back up to 70,000, yeah, then you're going to see MicroStrategy back in the 170s. If it doesn't, you could get stuck in the blender. Just be careful. Netflix. This one's been holding up pretty damn well. Yesterday's candle, though, we said is an anomaly. Be aware of it. Today, you doji. Take profits or the profits are taken. That's what that, I mean, to me, and that's potentially short. I was watching Roblox today. Got over these levels. Cool. Next resistance up here. You're kind of, I guess, technically in it. Nice. I mean, again, this is one of the things where you've had a good trade if you shorted here. But if you zoom out, you can see, again, this is why we always tell people zoom out. I mean, I know that's a dirty, ugh. Let's clean this up. This is not appealing at all to the eye. I get that. Let me clean up some of this. Ugh. All right, we'll go back. But you can see there's definitely resistance up here in the 45 to 47 range. How much higher? Again, it feels very squeezy. Pan W, we talked about, we love this name long term. I feel bad if I missed the run, but I mean, Pelosi bought this, fills the gap. We talked about buying the dip down here. Congratulations if you did, trading around it. Now, yesterday's action with that wick said probably going to need to digest. And when we say digest, sometimes it's just chop, sometimes it's pullback, and pullback or chop. It can be both. Doesn't mean you go chasing it. Tesla, sorry, my nose is a little runny today. Breaks the downtrend, the near-term downtrend, at the old downtrend, at the 50-day. Again, you zoom out. I know there's a lot going on here. I get it. Over the 50-day. It's one of those things we talked about. It's a good trading stock. I mean, is it a big choppy range? Just ask yourself this. Is it somewhere like this low end of the box to the high end of the box? I'm going to remove, I mean, I don't think this, oh. Yeah, see, the VAP isn't as great here. Let me zoom out because it might be time to remove that box. Yeah, I mean, that's hard to, It once was support, but let's just clean it up for now, just so that the charts look a little cleaner. Be watching this range. Because again, if you're bullish, I mean, this is the thing. Like I've said this, when you're bullish, bearish, whatever you're trading, and again, trading is different than investing, the more you're up, the less you own. And you have to think like that, right? You have to think, because again, profits aren't real until realized. And if you just hold, then you're investing. And you probably shouldn't even be watching the stock. If you bought it down here in the 200s, 100s, whatever, don't get emotional. Insight, we talked about, this is a great stock long-term, in my opinion. Holding the trend line. I'd like to see it in the 50s. Pfizer seems to be kind of just chilling at the trend line. Keep an eye on it. Mickey Donald's. There was like some McDonald's coin this morning. I don't know what the hell's going on with that. I saw something flash up in my newsfeed. There you go. You're back up to upper bounds. I'm really impressed that it is holding up again. This is one that some people said watching. I mean, we identified the lows. I didn't buy it. I said watch them because it could fail. Now you're kind of getting up to the range high soon. Keep an eye on it. I don't know why you wouldn't either get to a lower high or some equivalent high in the 290s. Just keep an eye on it. DKNG, again, another name that we talked about getting slammed, oversold due to bounce, filling the gap, and just not surprised somewhere in this area. Makes sense to watch if it starts getting tired, getting caught, getting stuck. Airbnb, again, another oversold bounce, market popping, people are buying this dip. It doesn't seem that aggressive. I mean, again, I don't think Costco's gonna be doing, Airbnb is gonna be doing good. Costco, multi-day range. Today's gap up feels very novice gap-ish. I'm just gonna move this arrow over here because again, I am a big fan of dojis on novice gaps. I would like, again, have you seen a double island reversal? Yeah, we have. Right, where you get like an island on the island. Yeah, island boy. Oh, those guys are fucking lame. Keep an eye on it. Keep an eye on that. Because that, again, this is what's so hard. Like there's repeating patterns. Right? Potentially lower highs here. Doji. Decent move up. Double island reversal. I mean, if you don't know what island reversal is, Google it or check out the, education. It's not hard. Just worth keeping an eye on. Starbucks, as we talked about, after that move up, it's probably going to be in the chop zone, meaning chop to pullback zone. You can't chase this stock now. You got to let it digest. Federal Express, as we talked about, head and shoulders top. Said it was oversold naturally with the market, filling some gaps, watching this 290 area. Caterpillar, man, I mean, talk about purgatory, right? Like just I mean, it's like Groundhog's Day. Same thing. Watching the 100-day. DE, deer. This has been a good trade. If you traded going into earnings, we talked there's probably going to be some short squeezing because when you zoom out, you're like, man, this is a big choppy zone, right? So, of course, hits the range lows, bounces, doink. Nucor. We talked about, again, we like materials long run. They just don't have it yet. And again, oversold near term, maybe due to bounce. Letter X got smoked down yesterday, popping back some today. We get it. VALE. We talked about the 9s being pretty cheap. Not surprised, oversold, bouncing. I mean, look at this thing. It's been, I mean, you could potentially argue for this the long term could be the bottom, but it doesn't mean that just like most tops and bottoms, there will be a retest. Like that's what I'd be looking for, right? And here's an example. You think this is the top, right? Then you get the retest. Or yeah, here's the bottom. Oh shit, there it is. Here's the bottom. I already marked it. Probably get some sort of retest. And if it's not, then it'll just trend lower and go lower if it gets smoked down. Arrow. We like junior copper, love junior copper. Okay, chopping out. CCJ, again, we like CCJ, but when Goldman upgrades the high, and I warn people and I tell people, be careful, it makes new highs, they go, oh, look at this. Look at that trap. We talk about traps can last days and weeks. Goldman upgrades the highs, makes a slightly higher high for weeks, even retest, and then boom. Freaking Goldman. CF, chopping around. Mosaic, again, we like all these, and we like ag names. NTR, chopping around, just I don't know. There's not really much to say on them. AA, again, we like that. Keep an eye on it. I mean, we love aluminum. I mean, I really like aluminum long term. XLF, try to roll through this fast. We talked about this trapping up at the highs. Congrats. I didn't expect this. I mean, this is the thing. I have no problem admitting when I'm wrong, y'all. Like you have to be, and it shouldn't be an emotional thing. It should be said as freely as winning. When you're winning, you're happy, and you're okay with it. When you're losing, you're okay with it. You admit you're wrong, you move on. Again, you're only as good as your current trade. Remember that. The past trades don't matter. Don't be that guy who swings for the fences and misses and goes, well, I'm a loser. I wish I would have done this. No, woulda, shoulda, coulda. You do the best what you can. JP Morgan, again, I can't understand why anyone would be buying the stock up here. If they're not buying back the stock up here, why are you buying the stock? And I'm not saying you, but I'm talking about proverbially the market. People, participants. Morgan Stanley bouncing after drops, fills the gap. Bank of America, again, we talked about Buffett doesn't sell the lows, bouncing back, getting stuck up here. Keep an eye on it. Goldman Sachs, as we talked about, this one has a little cap on it in the 500 range. Worth watching because it could be a really good reference for a failure. And who owns all the problems geopolitically when the market starts softening? It's the banks. Again, we talked about the KRE. I mean, this is not participating at all. Right? Last 3 days, not even close back to the highs. Keep an eye on it. XBI, as we talked about, this is usually a risk-on name. Back up at the range highs. Is it breakout or is this a really good opportunity to short failure spot? XHB, again, I like housing shorting. The Tays can handle, filled the gap. We talked about it was always in play. This is what's so hard, right? You see levels. You use repeating patterns, right? I don't know what to tell you sometimes. You're just going to be wrong. Just like at the lows. Here you go. This is where you'd be thinking like, oh, this is the bottom. I've caught the bottom. Look, it's a reference. Goes below it for a couple days, then bee. You know that meme, like after you sell it, it always goes up. Well, sometimes after you short it, it goes up a little higher, then you uncover, and then it goes lower. It's the same kind of thing, y'all. It happens to the best of us. TAN, again, solar, don't care. Sedge, we talked about this thing. These things are blown out. Probably just in a big choppy, sloppy range. First Solar, this one to me has the most interest to short watching this 50-day 231 plus area. Keep an eye on it. HYG, again, I'm amazed anyone's buying corporate debt, but hey, you know what? I've seen the market do really stupid things before, and it will continue to. Again, it doesn't always have to make sense. Oil, why is oil pulling back? Oh, because the economy is slowing. We talked about that. UNG, again, I hate the UNG. I like natural gas long term. I think the best trade is by far easily shorting KOLD on major pops. If you shorted the 80s, now it's chopping around. Got a good reference. XOP, we talked about this starting to look ugly, especially yesterday. Okay, you got a 2-day range here. Very simple. CVE, speaking of like, again, some of these oil names, 2-day range in a lot of them, right? Valero, talked about the gasoline names, they had a big drop yesterday. MPC, not as big of a drop, but still, like these names are lagging, right? You look at ExxonMobil, right? Like this thing looked like it was poised to break out. Go bam, right? Nope, rejected. Occidentals we talked about is a big choppy sloppy range. Big choppy sloppy range. Big choppy sloppy range. I say it over and over and over again. Again, Buffett selling puts, selling calls. At some point though, again, he'll want it to fall because then he'll do what? He'll load the damn boat with all the premium he's collected. See how that works? Again, covered king call. Covered call king. EQT, again, we like EQT pullbacks, watching it. Last but not least, Flex LNG. Just worth a watch, right? I think we'll be natural gas exporters, especially when it gets cheap again. Remember, we can't run on all electric. There's going to be alternatives, and there's also going to be old stuff. So you got to blend the two, in my opinion. All right, I appreciate all the love, support, generous donations. Again, if you donate, let me know. I'd love to give you a shout out. Also, reach out. Use the Calendly link. Let me know what you need. Leave a comment below. I really appreciate it. Hit the like button. Share with a friend. Share with anybody. Again, this is the thing. It's all about education, giving back. Let me know how I can help you if you need help. No doubt. Have a great evening. See you soon.
Hey, thanks for watching. If you have any questions, stop by the Discord room. A link is in the description below. Also, if you'd like to help support more free content, the PayPal link is in the description as well. I appreciate your continued support of the channel.